Okay, so in this episode of Traveling Down the Road with the three Sojourners, we've left Hot Springs and we're on our way to Colorado. So we're heading west. We take about 3 or 4 days to get to Colorado.
Texas is a big state to get through.
It sure is. Our first stop is Bonham State Park in Bonham, Texas. So what was the highlight of Bonham State Park? We were only there one night, but...
The highlight was that you drove 45 minutes out of the way to take me to Buc-ee's. That's a good husband.
That was like a crazy convenience store, roadside convenience store. They had like 60 something gas pumps and about a football field and a half size convenience store. It's crazy.
But we got a lot of great stuff from it. And if you ever have the privilege of going through Texas and you see a Buc-ee's, stop. Well, I had a brisket sandwich there that was so good. And make sure you get the brisket sandwich that has...
Yeah, that was good.
Has the onion and the pickle in it.
Yeah, onion and pickle brisket sandwich, man. That was good. That was delicious.
And then we got some fudge. And we
fudge and some kind of jerky stuff.
And I got me a Buc-ee's cup.
Souvenir t-shirt. Bumper sticker. All that.
It was a lot of fun.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun.
And then we came back to Bonham, and I was walking Buddy. And when I walked Buddy, I made friends with a lady and her granddaughter. And they had a blow-up paddleboard that stand up, which was really cool. It made me want to have one.
One of those $450 models.
And then... Then we played games with each other. First we played Farkle with each other, and then we played a game called Sequence together. So that was a lot of fun. And that was Jan and her granddaughter, and we've become Facebook friends now.
How was the TV reception and internet reception there?
It was not very good.
It wasn't very good. I mean, these places some of these parks are like out in the middle of nowhere, right? So unless you're on top of a mesa or something like that, you're not picking up squat, you know.
But for me, that's not a bad thing because I can read. It's more you that it affects.
Yeah.
Because he doesn't read.
I watched the Maze Runner series. I watched DVDs, man. That's good. Okay, so then the next morning we broke down and we drove about another 4.5 hours to Copper Breaks State Park.
Now, I will tell you, before, when we've ever gone through Texas, it's always been through the interstate. And it wasn't until we went to this park that I realized how beautiful Texas is, the hill country.
Yeah, using the state roads and county roads and stuff like that. There was one in Tennessee that looked kind of sketchy that we bypassed, but other than that, you know, they've been pretty well maintained, and especially in Texas was pretty well maintained. The farm to market roads are their state roads, and they're just long. They go forever. But Copper Break State Park was nestled in some hills and with a couple of lakes.
And it was really beautiful. I took a walk and enjoyed the wildflowers. It was really, really nice.
A lot of wildflowers along the way, and in that state park. And that state park, Copper Breaks, is a designated dark sky facility, right, or location. So when the sun went down, there was 1 million stars in the sky.
It was incredible.
Yeah.
And we were very lucky that the science teacher retired, had this mega telescope.
Yeah, that was like a 12-inch reflective telescope, and he knew what he was looking at. Plus, it was programmed so he could move it around to different places in the sky. But it was,
And he pointed out things that we never would have.
yeah, I mean, stuff out. You look up in the sky and you say, "Oh, there's a light. There's some dots in the sky," you know. But looking through that telescope, you can see
He showed us a Milky Way.
yeah, you can see all kinds of stuff. It was pretty neat. Well, we're in the Milky Way, so it's kind of hard to see the Milky Way, but you can see other parts of it.
Yeah, it was really neat.
Okay, so that morning we broke down, dumped. Second time we dumped, and headed off to the Barzy winery south of Amarillo in a place Canyon, Texas. All right, so,
And that was our first harvest host.
yeah, that was a harvest host. They didn't grow the grapes on site. They bought the grapes from another location in Texas, and then they did all of the whatever you do, distilling or squashing or
Making of the grapes.
yeah,
Winery.
rotting of the fruit. You know, whatever you do to make wine, they made the wine there, and
And what was kind of interesting is they aged the wine in wooden barrels.
yeah, whiskey barrels.
So it was really neat. And it was a spark. They are known for the dry wine, but they did have one sparkling sweet wine that was
Yeah.
really good that we shared between us.
Yeah, we bought a bottle of wine and sat there and drank it for a few hours, and then moseyed on back to our RV.
And what was really nice is that the owner is a dog lover, and he told us, why didn't we bring the dog out of the RV? And we were like, well, we just can't let him run. And he said, let him be a dog. And so we said, well, what if he runs off? He goes, my dogs will herd your dog, and if they don't, I'll go run after him.
He had these big old English hounds that were like 100
Wolfhounds.
wolfhounds, yeah, that were like 180 pounds, about 6 feet tall. I mean, they were huge.
And they did a good job on herding Buddy.
Yeah, that's right.
But he had the best time.
Yeah, he enjoyed running around. So, yeah, he was off leash for a little while.
And then the next morning, we woke up to find out that we had picked up a nail.
Yeah, one of our tires, the one that I've been watching this tire for about 3 or 4 weeks now, because sometimes it got over temperature, or you know, I saw that it had a little ripple in the sidewall, and I was just concerned about it. But the thing that had us pull the trigger on tires was this chunk of metal, this big nail that was lodged in this tire. So we called around and found a Goodyear dealership in Amarillo. Went to one to get the tires, but they didn't have any electricity, so they couldn't change the tires. One of their sister shops, we took the tires over there. They didn't have tires, but they had power, so they did the replacement of the tires.
And it turned out to be a blessing in disguise, because when the guy was taking off the tires, he said that the front tire was separating.
Yeah, it wasn't even one I was watching, you know, but it's a good thing that we got it replaced then, and not have it blow up while we were down the road somewhere.
So that's why it's very important that you're constantly checking your tires. And also, if you get you one of those tire management systems.
Yeah, our tire management system worked fairly well. You know, I mean, it would have told us if we had a leak, which we never had. We didn't have the leak, but it kept me apprised of the tire temperature, Didn't do anything about the tire that was separating.
So that's why it's very important for you to visually inspect your tires.
Yeah.
And don't just look on the outside.
Yeah, you got to look inside too. It was on the inside that you saw it. The outside looked good.
So that's why it's very important to look at every area of the tire.
Yeah. So we spent about maybe 2 hours in Amarillo running around doing the tire replacement. So we got all 4 tires on the travel trailer replaced.
We were worried about time, but we gained an hour when we...
Yeah, when we crossed the to the mountain time zone. So it all comes out in the wash.
And so we drove how many hours that day, would you say?
About another 4.5, 5 hours.
And we ended up in Raton Pass.
Raton Pass in New Mexico, and that's where we
stayed there for 2 days.
Yeah, we spent the weekend, and we were on a pass, so like we were on the top of
a mesa.
Well, we weren't really on the top of the mesa, but we were up really high compared to the valleys behind us.
And
Albuquerque,
you could really
and Santa
feel
Fe behind us.
And you could really feel the wind.
Yeah, you could feel the wind, the cool temperatures, and TV channels picked up really nice.
Internet sucked.
Internet could have been better, but yeah, the TV was fine.
But we went to a Mexican restaurant that night for dinner, and it was very good.
Yeah, Tequila's Mexican restaurant. I think it's just south of Trinidad, Colorado.
And
Starkville.
And when we were on the way, we saw this national monument, and we said it looked cool, but we decided we would go Saturday to look at it.
Yeah, when we were on the way from Texas to Raton Pass, we passed Capelin Volcano National Monument, and it was like about a 30-35 minute drive, right?
Was it of
from
an
Raton
active
Pass
volcano back in the day?
Yeah, several thousand years ago, it was an active volcano. But the thing about it is, it's an example of a volcano that you can
walk down
into. You know, you can walk down right down to where the
core.
You're about the vent. You're like about 10 or 15 feet from the vent, and you can walk around the rim of the volcano. But the cool thing is you can walk all the way. It's obviously, you know, it's cooled, and there's no steam or anything like that coming out of it. You know, it's not like a Yellowstone where it's still partially active, or it's not like Mount St. Helens where it's gonna blow the top off the mountain. It already did that.
And we can see the lava after all these years,
Yeah.
still on the ground.
Lava rocks everywhere. You got to be careful that you don't cut yourself. But it was a really cool experience.
I'm glad we went to it.
Yeah.
It goes to show that sometimes you need to stop when you see those little off the road.
Yeah, things that you aren't planning on. So we spent, like we said, 2 days at Raton Pass in this RV. It was kind of a RV park. It was kind of a parking lot, real close to your neighbors and all that. But it was just an interim stop before we hit Colorado. And so was it Sunday morning?
Yes.
Yeah. Sunday morning we broke camp, ate breakfast and all that, broke camp, packed up, hauled butt, and left New Mexico, heading for Colorado. And that'll be in our next video. So of the Texas and New Mexico overnights, what do you think?
Well, each had its special thing. I would say the thing I liked the most was Buc-ee's, but then I also loved seeing the night sky and the wildflowers.
That was probably the coolest thing,
Yeah.
I think, is seeing all the wildflowers and Because in some spots on the state roads, the wildflowers were like, they were just gorgeous, you know.
And when I looked up to see about a Texas bluebonnet, I saw these purple flowers that looked like they were the Texas bluebonnet, and I talked to the lady, Jan, and I asked her, and she said, honey, the bluebonnets have come and gone. That's not a bluebonnet you saw on the side of the road.
It's just a weed. It's really pretty weeds.
Yes.
All right, well, that's all we're going to do about, that's all we're going to talk about with Texas, and maybe we'll have some, we've had some photos to go along with some things, but we're continuing our journey. All right, what you got to say? Anything?
See you down the road.
Bye.